friends. Uncle Marv here with another episode of the Unhealthy Podcast. And if you're new to the show, yeah, you heard that right, unhealthy. And basically, it's my journey to get myself right, because even though I lived most of my life as an athlete, thought I was in good shape, thought I was healthy, turns out I'm not. And it's not just the health and the fitness and the diet. There's so many other things that play into our health. And we're going to talk about all those things on this show, including mental health, stress, work-life balance, all those things that go into play with how we live our lives. And so today, I have with me a new friend, Lori Saitz, who is the CEO of Zen Rabbit and actually a podcast host herself, a show called Fine is a Four-Letter Word. And that should get your attention. So, Lori, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I am doing good. So, of course, most people are going to start with Zen Rabbit. Okay, that's interesting. What is that?
Zen Rabbit is the name of my company. I mean, for one thing, I have a background in marketing, so 30-something years in marketing. The name Zen Rabbit is so unusual that people do not forget it. They might not remember my name, but they remember Zen Rabbit. So from a marketing standpoint, great name. How did I come up with it?
I understand that because most people can't remember any of my stuff, but they'll remember Uncle Marv.
Right. Yeah. Those little keys that are different to help people remember stuff. Yeah. And I came up, the name started when I started my first company 20 years ago, and it was a baking company. So it was Zen Rabbit Baking Company. And I was making a product called the Gratitude Cookie as the way for businesses to say thank you to their clients and referral sources. Ran that business for 11 years into the ground. No, I I couldn't scale it the way I wanted to. And I ended up shutting it down and doing some other stuff. And when I started my business back up, because everybody still remembered the name Zen Rabbit and associated it with me, I just then created Zen Rabbit 2.0 and Zen Rabbit 3.0, which is probably what we're on now.
All right. Nothing wrong with that. People remember the name. It's not exclusive to any particular genre or industry. So roll with it.
Right. Well, and it's particularly relevant now to what I'm doing, even more than ever before. So it just worked out that way.
That is true. Zen plays right into what you do. So let me ask this, because even though I'm going to have your links in the show notes and stuff, people will see your LinkedIn profile. And one of the things that it says that you are is a stress eradication expert.
Yes.
So we should probably start with, what does that exactly mean?
I help people resolve and eliminate stress from their life or their response to it. Because what I'm doing is I'm helping people to be able to better handle stress. We're not changing outside circumstances because those are going to be what they are. But how do you respond to those circumstances? And there are many different ways. Some people, are hair on fire. My life's a crazy shit show. And other people can stay grounded no matter what's going on around them. So which one do you want to be? And if you want to be in the camp that's able to stay grounded, no matter what kind of tornado, hurricane, whatever is happening, that's where I can help.
So I've been doing a little bit of studying and research, and I have found that stress is now being considered one of those factors that we should look at when we're trying to lead a healthy life. So how much of what you're doing kind of falls into that health and mental awareness category, and how much of it is just simply us and our frame of mind, and I don't want to say thinking it through, or just, sucking it up or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the balance there?
All of it.
Okay.
It's 100%. All of that is the same thing. Like whatever you're thinking about is affecting your mental and physical and emotional health. And it's also affecting your productivity and your relationships. and a whole bunch of other stuff that you might not consider. But yeah, I mean, when you can be in that place of groundedness, everything changes. Your blood pressure, your the hormones that are coursing through your body, the hormones, the dopamine, serotonin, what's that other one? Oxytocin, like all those feel good chemicals are increased when you are in a state of gratitude or a state of feeling good, joyful, happy, as opposed to when you're stressed, you have tons of cortisol, which is I'll call it a bad hormone, but it can cause detrimental effects in your physical health. So we're not reversing, what's the core? Like, we're changing the chemical mix in your brain chemistry. Right. So you have more of those feel good chemicals, less of the stress hormones.
Okay. So I know that a lot of people, a lot of my friends really will take what's going on around them and blame the circumstances for their situation. Now, granted, there are things that we simply cannot control. And you mentioned that a lot of times it's how we respond to it.
Yeah.
But in terms of, how we think, is it really as simple as, doing things like meditation and yoga and, putting yourself in, I don't even know what the state is because this is not
like a more relaxed. Well, it's a more relaxed state.
Okay.
Yeah. And it really is that simple. I don't know why we have to, as humans, make everything so complicated. And I do it too, but why do we do that? It really is that easy. And it comes down to, it's a matter of figuring out what works for you. Like not every diet, and I don't mean diet like to release weight diet, but like the way that you eat, the foods that you eat, the things that you consume. And actually, when I'm referring to diet, it's not just food. It's like, what are you consuming in terms of the media you're watching or listening to, or the environment you're in, everything that's coming into your body. That diet is so important to your overall health. So where was I going with this? You were asking.
I know my question was all over the place.
Yeah.
But here's.
Oh yes, is it really that simple?
Okay.
It really is that simple. And when you are, so how you respond, again, like you can't change outside circumstances. Like it's going to rain today if it's going to rain today. You can't change that. But what you can change is you can be angry about it because maybe it canceled your plans to play golf or whatever it is. Or you can accept it and go, hey, that's what it is right now. I don't have control over that. So what can I do now? Can I go bowling? Can I do something else that's inside? Like what can I do now? Instead of railing against things that you can't control. And that's not to say that you need to be complacent and just go, oh, well, that's, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing you can do about the weather, but you can still take action that will move you forward. Does that make sense? Like it's a sense of acceptance and not complacence.
Well, I mean, it sort of makes sense. And there's a part of me that understands because I've been somebody who throughout my life, I don't let things get to me to a point where it disrupts my life. So, I can look at a situation. Okay, well, it's raining. Let's go do something else. I can, while golf may be fun and important, there's other things that are fun and important as well. But I can see going the extreme where people are maybe too complacent. And is that like a danger zone on the other side where if we don't react to things or don't adjust, where everything is with the flow? Because to me, I don't want to say those people annoy me, but it's like,
but they annoy you.
how can you be that complacent and not care?
Well, I think there's a difference between being like just giving up
Okay.
and having no will to do anything versus accepting and going with the flow.
I think that's what I meant was giving up, where people they hit an obstacle and then that's it. They're done.
That's it. They're done. Right. Right. That's a choice, and they can choose differently anytime they want. But yeah, some people are going to get to that place where they're just like, all right, well, this is just useless. I give up. And those aren't the people I don't think those are the people we're talking to today. And it's certainly not the people I work with.
I got lots of friends. So
you got lots of friends. All right. Well, again, it comes back to a choice. Is that how you want to live your life? Or would you like something better or different? And you get to decide every day. And if you decided yesterday that everything sucks and you're giving up, you can change your mind today and say, you know what? I've changed my mind. I do want to get involved. I do want to take action, and I want to move forward. That's the cool thing about it. As long as you're still breathing, you still have a choice and you can choose different.
Right. So let me take our listeners back, because you and I met, I don't know, it was maybe a couple of months ago by now, through a networking event. And we got stuck into a little private chat room. And I heard a little bit about your story. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm kind of on that journey too. And you mentioned earlier your background's in marketing. So this isn't what you've always done. So at some point, there must have been a light that went off, or a trigger, or an event, or something that changed to make this your I don't know if life's mission is what we call it, but
it is.
What was that for you that made you start looking at this?
Yeah. So actually, it really started when I was 10 years old. My mom took my brother and me to a meditation course that is now known as the Silva method. So I had meditation as a foundational piece of my life, and I didn't practice it for the next, 40 years, 35, 40 years, not consistently. And I finally came back to it during a difficult time in my life and started back into it and got into it consistently in meditating. So, and that also was around the same time that it helped me stay calm. I mean, I live in a major metropolitan area where people are notoriously type A. And I was like that for a long time, like competing on how many hours a week you could work,
right,
and how much stuff you have going on and how busy you are as a badge of honor. That is insanity now that I look back at it, because that's like just craziness. Like, you're not necessarily enjoying your life. You're just living busy.
Right.
So I mentioned I had the baking company, and then I shut it down. Then I started teaching networking strategies, like how to walk into a room full of people where you don't know anybody and start a conversation to move your business forward. And then pandemic, and nobody was going anywhere.
Oh.
And then I had to pivot again. And somebody asked me to come speak to a virtual group about gratitude, which I mentioned the gratitude cookie. So I had been talking about gratitude. Now I was being invited to come back and talk about gratitude again in a different capacity. And that's what drew me back into creating this business now as it is. Teaching, I'm on a mission. You mentioned mission to teach the world to be calm and grounded no matter what's going on around them.
All right. So now, did you start this before the podcast or at the same time? Which came first?
It was around the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, the program, the original program that I started is called Fuck Being Fine. And that started maybe a little bit before the podcast.
Okay, because I was going to get there, because on your Zen Rabbit website, when you have it looks to me like it's 3 pillars.
Yes.
And the first one is the fuck being fine. And then your podcast, fine is a 4-letter word. For me, the entire premise is fuck this being fine shit.
Right.
Let's get this right. I mean, so that's where it was kind of like, it was all this around that same time.
Yeah, it really was all around the same time. And it is that it's that time, like a lot of the people that I work with and are in this, I'm not crazy about the term midlife. I just think that makes us sound old, but they're in their 40s and 50s, and they're looking at their lives going, okay, do I want to live the next 20 years the same way I lived the last 20? And not that the last 20 were terrible, but how do I want to live moving forward? For a lot of people, their kids are growing up and don't need them the same way they did before. Their parents are getting older and passing away. They see the same thing happening with friends. Maybe they've been in a job for 20 years and it's not satisfying. And they're just looking and going, okay, how much time do I have left? Because nobody knows. What do I want to do with this time? Like, you've had time to experience some life and maybe have some great experiences and maybe some that were more challenging. And now you're evaluating, what is it that will bring me joy? And things have been fine, but maybe you want more than fine. Maybe you want fantastic. Maybe you want amazing. And it is possible. So that's my thing. It is possible. You don't have to stay stuck at fine.
All right. That's where I'm at. And so I've been trying to develop this for a while, and just so that you know, and I simply looked at, and I call it the first half of my life. I'm not going to say how many years it is, but it's like, okay, yeah, those were good. Those were okay. I thought I was doing everything right. And exactly what you're saying. Parents are getting up there, and friends are getting sick. Friends are dying. But some of it, I look at, some of those events could have been prevented. Some of them are in situations where they've allowed life to just stack up on them. And I'm like, I cannot allow that to happen to me. It's not like I'm in a bad situation. My life is good. My job is good. My health is relatively good, but I could lose a few pounds. I could work less hours. I could have a better relationship with my wife. Those are all things that, okay, let me start working on that and figuring out what that is. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm right there.
Well, circling back to the whole thing of acceptance, it's like, okay, this is where I am today. Like, everything that I did in the past has led me to where I am. I can't change the past, but I can change starting from here. Now, what do I want? What does it look like moving forward? And how do I create that? And that's where it comes back to this whole idea of what you think about. I was going to say, what you think about, you become, but it is true. What you think about affects how your life turns out. Like, if you look at everything and go, you just see problems. You just see problems and things that are wrong, and you're complaining and criticizing all the time. It's miraculous how more things to complain and criticize show up in your life. On the other side of the coin, if you are finding gratitude, no matter what's going on around you, more things to be grateful for will show up in your life. This is energetically, scientifically proven and supported with research, because we are energetic beings. So when we put out the negative energy, we get back negative energy. You put out positive, you get back positive.
So, been watching a lot of YouTube.
Yes.
Some of it's good, some of it's a little crazy, but a lot of the experts, and it's not just in health and fitness and mind, and when it comes to finances, they're always talking about what you surround yourself with is what you become. If you surround yourself with wealthy people, you'll learn to be wealthy. If you surround yourself with poor people, you'll be poor. Healthy people in terms of diet and stuff. So all of that seems true. But I guess the question is, how do people learn to change what you mentioned consume earlier? What are the things that we're allowing in our lives, whether it's, television, friends, work, that sort of stuff? Is that the type of stuff that you help people with?
Yeah, it's really a matter of rewiring your brain, which sounds really complicated, right? Like, how do I rewire? But you're in computers, systems, IT.
Yeah.
It's installing new software. So how do you do that? I mean, for humans, right. Computer, you know how to do that. For humans, it involves changing the beliefs that are wired into your brain, which have been installed since the day you were born, sometimes even before you were born, because you can hear things. So I've heard that you can hear things when you're in the room. So, if there's a lot of chaos going on around when you're before you're born, you can absorb that. But so it's a matter of rewire. How do you rewire your brain? How do you rewire the other than conscious programming that's running the show? Because a lot of the research you may have seen too is that your conscious mind, which is what we're functioning with right now as we're awake, and that only runs 5% of the show. The other than conscious mind, where all those beliefs have been installed, is running 95%. So you could say consciously, I am wealthy, I am successful, but the subconscious mind is going, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're a loser, because you've been programmed over years to, nothing ever works out for you. You're, everything's going to fall apart, whatever. Those beliefs that have been wired in. So how do you change them? Got to get into that other than conscious mind. Meditation does that. Emotional freedom technique. Are you familiar with like tapping?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, we can, I'm not an expert in that, but I have used it. Hypnotherapy. There's all kinds of modalities that can help rewire those beliefs to change them to ones that serve you better. And one of the ways to know what are the beliefs that are wired into your brain is look at your circumstances. What is your outer world showing you? That is a reflection of what you believe.
So as you're talking, I'm hearing what you're saying, but my mind is going to people that throw up these vision boards.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's what they're called, but they put up the board with the big boat and the big house, and it's like, just visualize it and it will happen. And I'll be honest, I have never seen that happen. I know that people have said that they've met people that's what they've done. They dreamed about it and made it happen.
Yeah.
So part of me, and I also made notes that we should do another show just on that, because I can tell that that's an area that I would struggle with, and just simply, I guess the word would be manifesting.
Yeah.
You just think it. You think it enough, it will happen. So that's not the way I grew up. But I see that a lot of people are talking about that, and the things where you're talking about, getting in a meditative state, getting into a state of, what's it called? Allowance. Mm-hmm. Is that what you meant?
Yeah. Allowance, ease, and flow. Like if you imagine like you're just floating on a river that's carrying you downstream, that's really easy. You're just floating along. Easier said than done. I get that, because I struggle with this as well. It's not like I have all the answers. To your point about visualization, that is a great piece, and it's there's more to it than just putting a board together with pictures. And I got one. I got two of them, but there's more to it than that. It involves the actual getting into the feeling, and I create customized gratitude meditations. This is what I do with them, is I help people get into that feeling of gratitude. When you can feel gratitude for something, not only something that's happened in the past or something that you're experiencing right now, but something that you are manifesting or something that is a goal, when you can feel gratitude for it as if it has already happened, you're energizing it and magnetizing it. That's the piece that I think a lot of people miss in the boards, is they think they just put pictures up and they just look at it one time as they're putting it together, never look at it again, or look at it, but don't actually feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that the thing on this board has come to be real. Like really feeling it. So let me give you and your listeners a practical exercise that you can do to help you get into feeling more gratitude and therefore attracting more things to be grateful for.
Okay.
Right. So Uncle Marv, what's something that happened in the past day, couple days that totally pissed you off? And you were like, I can't believe this is happening.
You want me to say that on the air?
I don't know. You say what you want to say. I don't know.
Let's see. In the last day, probably would be, as I look at my notes here, because I have my phone in front of me. So I would say a client making the decision without consulting me first. Is that general enough?
Sure. And then that like pissed you off.
Well, yeah, because it, of course, disrupts my plan for them. It also means I have to explain to them why making that decision without me is not a good thing. And actually, in that particular case, the decision that they made couldn't actually be done the way they wanted it to happen, which caused some more friction.
Okay. So this is something normally you would be complaining about.
I mean, it's something where the problem is it happens a lot. So I'm used to it.
But it still annoys you.
It annoys me, but it doesn't. I mean, and that's the part. I mean, I'm used to it, so maybe that's not the best example, but that.
Well, you've come to tolerate it, but that's a whole other show of tolerations. All right. So you've got the situation where something's annoying you, something's pissing you off, somebody did something, and you want, your first initial thing is to complain or to grumble about it. Instead, and so accept, okay, cool. I got it. But like, this client pissed me off, but I'm grateful. What are you grateful for?
Well, they're still my client and they're going to pay the bill.
There you go. So anytime you catch yourself complaining or criticizing something, add on, but I'm grateful for. And you will start to condition yourself to look to find the gratitude more quickly. And this is how you train yourself to become a more grateful person, a more naturally grateful person. It seems like a really simple exercise, right? Like, this is stupid. How is this going to change my outlook? I'm telling you, if you start doing it, you will naturally move more quickly to gratitude than staying in the complaint place. And the reason, have you ever heard you shouldn't use the reason but, or the word but?
I've heard it. I've not quite delved into the full extent of it, but I've heard that. It's like but and no, you shouldn't use those negative words. Yeah.
Because normally the word but, like if I said, Uncle Marv, you did a fantastic job. That podcast episode was great, but there was this one thing that I would change. I just negated the whole first part of that compliment and congratulations and replaced it with the but thing, which is why people normally say you use and. In this case, we're using it deliberately to negate the first part, which is the complaint or the criticism, and to focus on the but I'm grateful for. The grateful for part is what we are focusing on.
Okay. That just reminded me of a conversation I was having with somebody about the compliment sandwich. You say the good thing, then the bad thing, and then follow up with the good thing. I'm like, okay, well, everybody knows the bad thing is there, and that's what we're going to focus on. So why even bring that up? But interesting.
Yeah.
And I guess I had been doing that with those client situations, because in that particular situation, I usually do say, hey, it is what it is, because you know what? At the end of the day, they don't argue with the bill. They pay the invoice and we move on.
Yeah. So you focused on the gratitude part and it kind of negates or lessens the critical part. And you can use this at everything in life and business. So I challenge everyone who's listening to start using, I mean, you can start it right away. As soon as you're done listening to the podcast, you don't even have to be done listening. You can start right now. What I'm grateful for.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the podcast. We've mentioned it a couple of times, and you've done this now. I mean, what are you at? 150 episodes or something?
100. Thank you but I will. Yes. I just.
Only 100? I don't know.
I just published episode 100 was published just about a month ago.
Okay. No, you have 101.
Well, this summer, we have summer sessions running.
Okay.
So they are kind of the reruns, the best of from the past 100 episodes.
Okay. So let me ask a couple of questions, and I want to ask this one first, and it's not the correct order. I'm not a journalist, so
it's all good.
When you first started the podcast, you were doing a podcast, and then immediately following that show would be a meditation exercise that kind of worked with the first show.
Yeah.
And so that it felt like two separate shows, but they were connected. You haven't been doing that lately. Can I ask what the change was?
Yeah, I did it for the whole first season, first 36 episodes, and then a little bit into the next 10 or so episodes. I was writing all of those meditations myself. And even though they're only 10-minute meditations, it took so much time and energy, because this might sound weird, but we're talking about energy. Those are kind of channeled. Like I would just get into this quiet space and just go, all right, what is this meditation? And then have it like come through, but it doesn't come through in 10 minutes. It takes like an hour or more to get it. And then I have to record it, and then I have to edit it, and I have to, it was just taking a lot of time.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why I stopped doing it. I figured I've got like 50 of them. How many meditations does someone need? Yeah, but 50 on different topics.
Okay. I just thought maybe you had moved them, into a different section in your courses or something, that if people wanted them, they could go there to get them more.
Yes, it would be a very good idea. And it's on my list of things to do, just not at the top, to take all of those meditations and put them into one section of the website where they would be easily accessible. But if anybody goes to the website to find them, you could just search on meditation and they'll all come up.
All right. So fine is a 4-letter word, and I'll have the link there. And it's interesting the way that you presented the title. Fine is all caps and then is a 4-letter word. And it looks like the original premise of the show was that you would help to give people hope beyond what is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But now lately, it seems like it's more of how to correct all of these, what I would consider unhealthy things when it comes to us saying that things are fine.
It's all related. Really, the purpose of the show when I started it, and still is today, is one, to help people realize that there's nothing wrong with you. Because a lot of times your life is fine. You look at your from the outside, you've got all the things, the family, the job, the health, whatever, everything looks great. And you feel like something's missing. There must be something wrong with me, that I have all this great stuff and I can't appreciate it, or it's not enough. But there's nothing wrong. That's your soul crying for more, because our souls are designed to grow and expand for as long as we're here. And the second thing is, you're not alone. There are other people going through this. You're not unique in that feeling of, what else is there? Isn't there more? Isn't there something better, bigger, more? And so there's nothing wrong with you. You're not alone. That's still the underlying premise of the show, the reason I created it. And the whole idea that fine, people just say fine all the time. How is it? How are you? I'm fine. No, you're not. Like,
yeah. But most of the time people won't dig further.
Right. Well, and people say I'm fine for two reasons. One, they don't want to burden you, the listener, with all of their crap. Like, you don't want to hear it. So I'll just tell you it's fine. Or they don't want to admit to themselves that everything is not fine.
I'll admit it. When people ask me that, I'll be like, do you really want to know? And most of the time they were like, no, I don't.
Because they don't want to engage.
Right. Especially if they've heard me do it before. If I've said, do you want to know? And they're like, yeah, I want to know. And then I'll tell them, I really didn't want to know.
Yeah.
Which is why I've learned not to really ask people if I don't want to know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Because some people may start off saying, I'm fine. But and there it comes.
Right.
There it comes.
Right.
So I know that. So I've heard your story. I've listened to some of the other podcasts that you've done. You've explained some of your life changes and things that have happened. Pre-COVID, during COVID. how do you maintain or manage stress in your life and then do this life balance?
Mm-hmm. First of all, I don't believe in life balance.
Okay.
I believe in life integration. Like everything is your life, whether it's you're at work, you're running a business, you're running a family, you are, traveling around the country on your own on a road trip, whatever it is, it's all life. And so everything has to be integrated together. There isn't necessarily like a balancing act, like your family's over here and your work is over here. It's all combined. You don't go to work and completely forget you have a family. Like, I mean,
but that's how we've learned to think about it.
I know.
The spouse will be like, well, you're spending this much time at work. You need to spend more time with me. And of course, we're like, okay, how do we balance that? That's usually
right.
The first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah. And I look at it as more of an integration. How do you combine all of those things? Like I love baking. That's why I had a baking company. Mixing all of those ingredients together to create something amazing, like a great cookie, a cake, or whatever. That is your life. And so to your question of how do I do that? I practice meditation every single day. In the morning when I wake up, I do a meditation. And I've come to, gotten to this place where that's just part of what I do. That's who I am. And that's really where, when you're talking about rewiring the brain, it becomes a thing of what you do becomes who you are. It's stepping into that identity. James Clear in Atomic Habits talks about that you have to, when you're creating new habits, it has to become a part of who you are beyond just something that you do once in a while. If you're going to become a healthy, you're going to eat more healthfully, that becomes part of who you are. I don't eat meat. I don't eat animals. I say I don't eat anything with feet. So technically I'm a pescatarian, but I don't have to think every time I go to a restaurant, oh, do I want a burger? No, that's not who I am. It's the same thing when you're talking about meditation or any habit, whether it's healthy or not. Is that who you are or who you would like to be?
All right. So we really can't keep going into all these things. There's so many.
I know. And we're going to
so many thoughts and questions
time.
I have. Yeah. Let's do this. Let's focus on, you've got I guess it's a program coming up, Staying Calm in Chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell my listeners a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it goes back to that whole idea of, I found ways to stay calm, grounded, focused amidst all of the chaos around me. So people started asking me how I was doing it. And meditation is a part of it, but it's not the whole thing. And so there were a lot of tools and techniques like the one I just shared about, but I'm grateful for. And so I put together Staying Calm in Chaos as a way to be able to help a lot more people get this basis for using gratitude, using meditation, using acceptance as ways to change how they respond to situations. And that's really the key, is how can you respond thoughtfully in a way that you can be proud of versus reacting impulsively, where you look back and go, "Ooh, that wasn't, maybe I shouldn't have done that." Or you've dug the hole even deeper because you just jumped to a conclusion and started screaming,
Huh. So all of that you've got kind of jam-packed into a audio course?
It's a 10-session audio course. So that's the cool thing about this program is it's 10 audio sessions that are about 10 minutes each. So it's really easy to consume. It's not something that you're going to buy and you need, 15 hours to go through it, because who has that kind of time?
Right.
And so you can start seeing benefits after the first 10-minute session. And then there are also 5 meditations that come with it that are also about 10 minutes each. So really easy to consume, $47. Come on. $47 to find your way.
I was going to say that you've got a lot of values added here when you put in the meditations, which, anybody that does these meditation sessions, those can be quite expensive to do that. And then to do the 10-part course, you've got a PDF guide that's going to go with it. So yeah, we're going to have a link to all of that, that if anybody is interested in what Lori has said today that we've chatted with, and you want to get a clearer picture, besides what I tried to explain, I'll have the link.
I think you did a good job
signing up for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about how to really stay grounded and stay in your, let's say, right mind, instead of losing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So zenrabbit.com, and Fine is a 4-letter word podcast. I'll have the links to those. Lori, what else you got going on? I remember, so one of the first podcasts that I listened of yours, you had talked about, long are the days where we were hanging on the beach in Fort Lauderdale during spring break. And I'm thinking, that sounds about the time that I was in school, and Fort Lauderdale was big during spring break. Are we talking the 80s?
Yep, we are.
And interesting.
Yeah, and I really was. I spent a spring break, I think it was sophomore year maybe.
Yeah. From
college. Yeah.
Now, did you grow up in Florida where it was an easy drive, or were you from out of state and you took the road trip down here? No,
we flew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I went to school in Washington, D.C., and some girlfriends, sorority sisters, and I flew down. One of them had their parents had a house in Boca, and we flew into West Palm, which at the time you deboarded, is that the right word, from the plane? Outside. It's like you're in the Bahamas or something. It was in West Palm Beach. Now it's an international airport, but at that time it was the weirdest thing because I'd never seen that before. But and then we spent the whole week, we were sleeping in Boca, but we were on the beaches in Fort Lauderdale. All right. It's not far. For people who don't geographically know, it's maybe 20 minutes. Yeah.
I wasn't going to tell people that.
It's not a far
because I live in Fort Lauderdale now. So
yeah.
I get all those questions, and people are like, can I still come there for spring break? I'm like, you can, but it's not what it was.
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't know where they go now, but
they don't come here. You can't jump off of hotel roofs into the pool anymore.
Yeah, those were the days.
All right. Well, Lori, I appreciate the time you spent with me today. I realize we can't get into everything, but I wanted to get you on because I feel like we're on a similar journey.
Yeah.
You're obviously further along than I am and a lot more knowledgeable, and maybe I can pick your brain down the road.
Absolutely. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and have this conversation with you.
All right. And I'm going to promote your link here to the Staying Calm in Chaos program. So if any of my listeners want to take part in that, the link will be in the show notes, and you can get all of that for $47. Well, that's a meal. That's a lunch.
It is definitely worth the investment. I can tell you that.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, thank you for hanging out and meeting my friend Lori Saitz. Again, she is the CEO of Zen Rabbit and the podcast host for Fine is a 4-letter word. Go to her sites, check her out, and we'll chat some more soon. All right, Lori?
Take care.
All righty. We'll see you soon. Folks, we'll be back with another episode here in about a week. Listen, what you learned today should help you going forward, and it's part of the mission to help you live happy and be healthy. We'll see you soon. Holla.